Live in Caracas, as President Nicolás Maduro alongside first combatant Celia both are arriving at the National Assembly to take part of this inauguration that is to be held today, this January 10th. It's live images as the Venezuelan president is arriving at the venue where his inauguration is about to happen in a few moments from now. In precisely an hour and a half, the president will be sworn in for his third consecutive term after his electoral victory on July 28th last year, after the majority of Venezuela voted for the project of President Nicolás Maduro and the seven transformation plan that has been promoted by his administration. We have here the images. I can see from here, we have on our screen to the left of the president, I believe that is Jorge Rodriguez, the president of the National Assembly, and to his right, next to the first combatant, was the executive vice president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez. We're seeing the images of the protocol welcoming of the president for his swearing ceremony alongside the people of Venezuela, as we can see in the images surrounding the area, that the people have rallied, social movements have rallied from all locations, from all different points of Venezuela to come here today and accompany the President Nicolás Maduro in this important day where the defense of the institutionality and the sovereignty of the country is of the utmost importance in the face of numerous threats that have been happening through these days, especially in the last few days ahead of this inauguration. The different threats that have been implemented, that have been enforced against Venezuela. Just yesterday, there were being calls of military intervention on Venezuela after the fake news that was spreaded all over social media and foreign Western media of the alleged kidnapping of the figure of Marina Corina Machado, who later herself came out and denied and said this was fake, but it was a wide plan of these far-right opposition sectors that were trying to create more chaos and sow discord and violence in Venezuela. But as has been promised by the Venezuelan head of state and all the authorities that are present here today, as well as we can see in the images, we have the President Nicolás Maduro, Jorge Rodriguez, the National Assembly. We have seen all these images that they have come out and said that they would defend for the national sovereignty, the national integrity, national sovereignty, and the peace and tranquility of the Venezuelan people, which today is a country that is at peace. Let's listen.
Ante esta
So we were seeing the formal official welcoming of the president to the National Assembly, where his swearing ceremony is about to happen in just an hour and a half from now. We were hearing in the background the cheering of the people that came here to accompany President Maduro on this important day, cheering for the prosperity of the country and expressing their commitment to the project of President Nicolás Maduro and of its seven transformations, which have restored the economy of the country. We must remember that for the first time in a long time, Venezuela has registered in the past 14 months a steady increase in its economic recovery after the battery of sanctions that were imposed back in 2018-2019, where the gross domestic product of Venezuela was obliterated, we could say, but thanks to the hard work of its authorities and the resistance of its people, little by little, step by step, the Venezuelan people and the Venezuelan economy has been recovering with all these different projects, always putting in the center the social well-being of its people and the social welfare in all its projects for the recovery of the different sectors of the nation, which, like has been the case of the recovery of the oil sector, and all the other productive sectors, the agricultural sector, the fisheries, that little by little Venezuela today has a wide range of products that do not need to be imported, which are produced thanks to all these revolutions in these different industries inside the country. We are seeing the president being welcomed by different authorities that are present here at the National Assembly, and also besides the people, the different authorities here also in Caracas are different heads of states and government from other countries which have also come to accompany President Nicolás Maduro in this paramount day of his swearing-in ceremony, as he promised and as all the different authorities have promised that on January 10th, as per the mandate of the Constitution, the president elected by the will of the people last July 28th will be here at the National Assembly and will be swearing in before the National Assembly, which was reinstalled and its authorities re-elected last Sunday. We must remember that last Sunday, that's the day that the National Assembly began its new legislative term period for the year 2025, which is the last year of this National Assembly, as this year the country is heading to parliamentary elections where the people will once again go to the polls and elect a new National Assembly, which will be sworn in January next year for the next 4 years. We continue to see the images of the president being welcomed here by the different delegates and people that have come here expressing their love and appreciation, and all of them expressing their commitment to the Bolivarian revolution that has led this country in the past years, over the past 20 years at the helm, a project that was launched at first by the late commander Hugo Chavez, who began this project of this Bolivarian revolution following the ideals of the great liberator Simon Bolivar for having a sovereign nation and a nation free of inherence and interference in their internal affairs by foreign powers, especially U.S. imperialism, which have been trying to impose their hegemony. And bravely and courageously, the Venezuelan people have known how to stand up against this and be here today at peace, despite all the attempts of violence and destabilization that have been created by this violent far-right opposition led by the peoples like Marina Corina Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez. Today, Venezuela is at peace. The president is here at the National Assembly, complying with the mandate of the Bolivarian Constitution of Venezuela to be sworn in before the National Assembly, newly reinstalled National Assembly last Sunday, for the next term following his electoral victory last year on July 28th. We were saying we have different delegations here, different heads of states. We saw earlier the arrival of Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel, who came here to accompany Venezuela, how Fidel described a long time ago, the late commander Fidel Castro of the Cuban Revolution, that Venezuela, and especially Commander Hugo Chavez, was the best friend of the Cuban people, and this is the way that Cuba continues to reaffirm the long history of solidarity, of brotherhood, and eternal friendship that exists between the peoples of Venezuela and Cuba by being present here today during this swearing-in ceremony, expressing their support and commitment for the project of a new Latin America, and Latin America free of foreign interference, of imperialist intents and mandates, and Latin America that was envisioned by Simón Bolívar at his time, and later on by José Martí also, and his values of independence, which led the Cuban also independence struggles against first Spanish colonialism and then the U.S. empire as well. Also here present at the National Assembly is the Prime Minister of St. Vincent of the Grenadines, which just recently landed, just a few minutes ago, recently landed at the international airport here in Simón Bolívar in Caracas, in Maiquetía, which will also be here Ralph Gonsalves, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and Grenadines, which has also been a long-standing friend of Venezuela, of the Bolivarian Revolution, and of President Nicolás Maduro. We continue to see images live in Caracas, where the President Nicolás Maduro is greeting all those that are here today that have come to support the investiture, the inauguration for his new term, 2025-2031, the third time that President Nicolás Maduro has won a presidential election by mandate of the people and by mandate of the Constitution of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, He's here today at the National Assembly, being sworn in before the National Assembly, before all the deputies of the National Assembly. We see in here the images of the military chief, joint chief of staff. We see all the different men and women that have also expressed during these past days their full commitment to the institutionality of Venezuela and their full commitment to the government of President Nicolás Maduro, who was constitutionally elected in the last election of July 28th by the majority of Venezuelans. All this is happening in a context of Venezuela at peace today, which is the most important thing to highlight, that the nation has preserved its peace and its tranquility despite all the different attempts by far-right opposition sectors to install violence and chaos to try to destabilize the country in the service of imperialist mandates, imperialist directions. We have seen, especially yesterday was a day of large rallies, especially in support of the government of President Nicolás Maduro. And there were some opposition rallies also that were registered, but not as large as were expected, as were called, as were announced by these opposition figures. Overwhelmingly, we saw the people on the street supporting the institutionality of the nation and its president, duly elected last July 28th by the will of the people. So the ceremony seems it's about to start. People are taking their seat. We're going to pay attention to see as the authorities present begin to deliver their speeches and the swearing ceremony kickstarts. We're going to stay attentive. We will have, of course, all this happening live here on teleSUR English for our audience to witness this important paramount moment for the history of the Bolivarian Revolution as it heads for next 5 years as President Nicolás Maduro, 5 years of important changes for the well-being of its people, of the Venezuelan people.
The constitutional president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, who we greet today in this swearing-in ceremony. We greet with a hug Dr. and legislator Cilia Flores de Maduro, first combatant of the Bolivarian Republic. We greet the sons and granddaughters and grandsons of citizen President Nicolás Maduro Moros and Dr. Cilia Flores. We greet Clarice Lidia, President of the Supreme Court of Justice, and Dr. William Tarek Saab, Attorney General of the Republic. We greet Dr. Elvis Amoroso, President of the Electoral Power and the National Electoral Council. So, dear heads of governments and states and distinguished international guests, welcome to the homeland of Bolivar and Hugo Chavez. Dr. Delcy Rodriguez Gomez, Executive Vice President of the Venezuelan Republic. Captain Diosdado Cabello Rondon, Head of Politics and Justice and Peace. General-in-Chief Vladimir Padrino Lopez, Vice President of Defense and Minister of Defense. Citizen Ricardo Menendez, Vice President of Fact-Checking. Citizen Jorge Marquez, Vice President of Services and Minister of Electricity. Citizen Freddy Ñañez, Vice President of Tourism and Communications and Minister of Communications and Information. Citizen Hector Rodriguez, Vice President of the Social Vice President and Minister of Education. Dr. Alfredo Luis Angulo, welcome. Ombudsman Men, welcome. And Ambassador Prosecutor, Attorney General of the Republic, and Ombudsman of the Republic too. Well, welcome to you all, General-in-Chief and Commander of the Armed Forces and other officials of the Bolivarian Armed Forces, head Mayor of Caracas, and honorable diplomatic corps, welcome to you all. So, the board of the National Assembly, heads and other lawmakers of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, members of political parties represented at the National Assembly, representatives of the popular power, we welcome you all, special guests, media outlets, sirs and madams. So, Citizen Claire, please, let's be informed. And so let's open the session, which is a very paramount session to express the sovereignty of the Venezuelan people and to fulfill the supreme mandate of the Venezuelan people. The Venezuelans, men and women who have elected citizen Nicolás Maduro Moros as constitutional president of the Republic of Venezuela, and that's the reason that we are today here. And so in this historical room in which we safeguard the act of independence of the Bolivarian Republic, and all the paintings all over the roof, the roof and the walls are referrals of that historical struggles. So the oath of office of citizen Nicolás Maduro Moros, constitutional president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and commander-in-chief of the Bolivarian Armed Forces, elected by the sovereign people in their right to vote directly and secretly, exercising their right to vote directly and secretly. So now I am going to proceed to read the constitutional obligation of, I am going to read the first part of Article 231 of the Constitution of our Republic. Article 231 of our Constitution. The elected candidate will take office as President of the Republic on January 10th of the first year of his or her term through the swearing-in ceremony before the National Assembly. So today is January 10th, and so we are here today for citizen Nicolás Maduro Moro to be sworn in as president. Well, next, so abided by Article 231 of the Bolivarian Constitution, we proceed to swearing citizen Nicolás Maduro Moro as President of the Republic of Venezuela, who has been re-elected to be president for the 2025-2031 term, in charge of. So that's it, citizen president. As we can see with this image of the Battle of Carabobos, so now they will proceed to. So we want to inform to all distinguished guests that citizen Nicolás Maduro Moros will be sworn in, abided by the Bolivarian Constitution, signed originally by Commander Hugo Chavez at the moment of the Constitution approval on December 15th, 1999. Citizen Nicolás Maduro Moro, you swear on the name of God all-powerful. You swear by the infinite legacy of Simón Bolívar, liberator of South America. You swear for our ancestors and honor, respect, and make respect the Constitution and the laws of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, and mainly to take care with loyalty and love the Venezuelan people to reach prosperity and glory. Do you swear it? I swear it before this National Assembly, the legislative power of the Republic, before visitors and delegates of 125 countries, and before the Venezuelan people. I swear by Huaycaipuro and Huaycaipuro and the indigenous peoples. I swear for Pedro Camejo and Jose Reinaldo Chirinos. I swear for Bolivar, for Sucre, for Manuel Azaña. I swear for the everlasting memory of our beloved Commander-in-Chief Hugo Chavez, and I swear for the historical and kind Venezuelan people before this Constitution that I will fulfill. I will make fulfill all its mandates, all duties of the Constitution and laws of the Republic, and that this new presidential term will be the term of peace, prosperity, equity, and a new democracy. I swear it for history. I swear it for my life. And so I will comply, I will fulfill it, and we will fulfill it. And so, citizen Nicolás Maduro Moros, that our kind people rewarded for your loyalty. Otherwise, God will suit you. So you will be. So you are just. You have just sworn in at the constitutional post of President of the Republic. So a hug, President. Let's fulfill it. In this way, the President Nicolás Maduro Moros has been taking office for the 2025-2031 term in a very symbolic and historical act. So now the imposition, so that the book, well now the acts, so the swearing act has been just fulfilled by both leaders, and so before putting the band, we want to inform you all the people of Venezuela and all guests and all the Caracas cities that the laborious hands of men and women of this rebellious city has taken the initiative of playing of cutting the presidential clothes that Nicolás Maduro Moros will receive, and so those who have been needing the presidential clothes has been the people's.
En el corazón palpitante de Caracas, una historia de unión y orgullo se teje cuidadosamente entre las manos
So
de su
in
gente.
there you
Es la banda presidencial, símbolo del pueblo, creada por
that is the presidential
Nicolás Maduro.
De ser una de las que está cosiendo las estrellas.
We are seeing now they are putting a video that is showing the history on how the presidential sash is made. As we are about to see how the President of the National Assembly puts the presidential sash on the President after he was sworn in officially now as the President, Constitutional President of Venezuela for the term 2025-2031. This is a video that is being shown expressing how the people all take part in the creation of the presidential sash that is going to be used today to be delivered to the President Nicolás Maduro on his inauguration day. Beautiful solemn ceremony that was just witnessed here at teleSUR English, as we were seeing at the National Assembly, that all the people were there present, standing up, expressing their support as mandated by the Constitution on January 10th of the first year of the term. After the electoral victory, the President comes to the National Assembly, and before the National Assembly and its leadership swears its oath to the country, to the Constitution, and above all to its people. President Nicolás Maduro swore on his life and everything that is divine for him to continue working to protect the spirit of struggle of the Bolivarian revolution, to protect their people, the Venezuelan people, and to continue working tirelessly to cement the Bolivarian revolution and to ensure the expansion of the economy, the expansion of all social sectors, that no Venezuelan is left behind, as they together as a community continues to grow towards a future of peace and tranquility and a future of prosperity for all Venezuelan people, for all sectors. President Nicolás Maduro swore this on a very symbolic constitution, which was the first constitution that was approved all the way back in 1999, and it was the constitution that late Commander Hugo Chavez signed once the reform of that constitution then was approved by the people. Let's continue listening to the video that is being put.
Fe y determinación.
with faith and determination. This sash is for you. President Nicolás Maduro, the people delivers your sash, your presidential sash. Representatives of the popular power who made the presidential sash are accompanying the president, in which they will be deliver. Well, citizens Ingrid Ramona González, Omar Cruz, citizen Inés Martínez, citizen César García, citizen Beatriz Miranda, citizen Marceli Rodríguez, and Saúl Lara, citizen Verónica, and Erika Avendaño. So there you see how the presidential sash is put on the President Maduro. So there you see a presidential sash designed and knitted by the men and women of Caracas and the children of the homeland who are accompanying the head of state in this historical day, which will so there you see President sharing with the legislator, the president of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, and the men and women who have just made the presidential sash for him. And so in this new presidential sash, in this new presidential term, he will sign. Well, now let's listen to Jorge Rodriguez. So he's giving to him the symbolic necklace, the symbolic medal that other symbol that represents the commitment he has for the people. He is now accompanied by the women who made his presidential sash, and there you see the media outlets who have been just recording this historical moment, and teleSUR, including teleSUR. This time, as you can see, it is a moment of participatory democracy in which the decision of the people has been complied, and there you see the president greeting people, talking to people. These are live images, and let's continue listening. So now let's listen to a children's band.
Sistema Nacional de Orquestas.
Gloriosas notas del himno de la República Bolivariana de Venezuela en este acto de juramentación del presidente Nicolás Maduro para el periodo constitucional 2025-2030.
So with these notes of the national anthem of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, sung by a national choir of children, the swearing ceremony is almost arriving at its end. As we saw on our screen, President Nicolás Maduro was sworn in as mandated by the Constitution before the National Assembly, by the President of the National Assembly, to a commitment for the prosperity and well-being of Venezuela and to continue struggling for the peace that Venezuela today experiences. This is a paramount day for Venezuela as it reaffirms its will to continue working alongside the Bolivarian Revolution in the project of the seventh transformation, the 70s as it's called in Venezuela. We have seen images throughout these days of the people coming out in mass to the nation. The ceremony continues. Let's listen.
In Caracas, on January 10th, 2025, in a historical session at the Federal Palace, and abided by the Constitution and with the presence of legislative representatives and the executive, judicial, citizen, and electoral powers, the citizen Jorge Rodriguez proceeded to take the oath of office to citizen Nicolás Maduro Moros as President of the Republic of Venezuela for the 2025-2031 term, in compliance with the Article 3rd of the Organic Law, in which the minutes of the Congress, we delivered the keys of the arch and the sarcophagus in which the remains of leaders are. So the minute is signed by Constitutional President Nicolás Maduro Moros. And so the Constitutional President is standing up.
So we were seeing how, according to all the protocols established by the Constitution, little by little have been accomplished, and now President Nicolás Maduro, recently sworn in, is passing to sign the document that makes official all this that is happening and the delivery of what Jorge Rodriguez was describing, the keys of the altar of the great liberator Simón Bolívar, the national pantheon. Nicolás Maduro is signing the document, making completely official this paramount day as he has been sworn in before the National Assembly as the President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela for the term 2025-2031, and as promised by him and by the different authorities of Venezuela and by the people of Venezuela themselves. This was meant to happen once the electoral victory of last July 28th at the presidential elections. And as the Constitution mandates, Venezuela is at peace today, this Friday, January 10th, and the president, the constitutionally elected president, was sworn in at the National Assembly in accordance to all the rules of the Bolivarian Constitution. Let's listen to Jorge Rodriguez.
Seguimos viendo entonces en las imágenes a las distintas representantes.
You see in our images, Jorge Rodriguez was just giving continuity to the protocol as all the board of directors and all the authorities here at the National Assembly are proceeding with the protocolary movements of signing this important document this January 10th as Venezuela consolidates its democracy, its sovereignty, and its will to continue fighting and struggling for the benefit of all Venezuelans. Of the National Assembly are passing to sign the document that we have seen. We saw the president, of course, Nicolás Maduro, the president of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, and the vice presidents of the National Assembly, all these authorities reinstalled, re-elected for this last year of the National Assembly last Sunday. And the citizens, as this is happening here at the National Assembly, we must recall that a large mobilization is outside this building of the people that have rallied from all different points of the country to accompany President Nicolás Maduro in a way to show their support and their commitment to continue the teachings of Commander Hugo Chavez, and before him, of course, of the great liberator, the father of the homeland of Bolivar, Simón Bolívar, and continue with the struggle, anti-imperialist struggle. Also, in parallel to this inauguration, we must remember that the International Anti-Fascist Festival is happening also in Caracas with the participation of over 2,000 international delegates. Let's continue listening to the ceremony.
The sarcophagus of Liberator Simón Bolívar in the National Pantheon. So we want to invite Citizen President Nicolás Maduro Moros for the who has been elected for the 2025-2031 presidential term.
Ha sido invitado el presidente constitucional, quien ya ha realizado su juramentación, a hacer uso de la palabra, un discurso que por supuesto trae la atención no solamente del país, sino también de la comunidad internacional expectativa.
So we are going to now listen to the first words of President Nicolás Maduro after being sworn in as the head of state of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. President Maduro will address the National Assembly here, but also all the people that have gathered outside the National Assembly, and of course all the media of the world. And now we are seeing right now the president of Nicaragua, Daniel Ortega, has just arrived at the National Assembly to be part of this paramount ceremony. Also, Daniel Ortega, president of Nicaragua, an important friend, someone that has always been side to side with the Bolivarian Revolution, and so we express their support and the spirit of friendship, brotherhood, and sisterhood between the nations of the people of Venezuela and the people of Nicaragua. Daniel Ortega joins the other heads of states we already mentioned. Díaz-Canel, who is just greeting of Cuba, that also was here, but also present is a delegation of the Honduran government with former President Manuel Zelaya and the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, who also arrived in Caracas earlier today to join Nicolás Maduro in this important day. Let's listen to the President.
Secretary General of multilateral organizations, ambassadors, men and women, leaders, men and women of the new world, of the new era, of the multilateral era. Welcome delegations of over 125 countries, international organizations that are coming to our beloved homeland. Citizen Jorge Rodriguez, President of the National Assembly, Directive Board, legislators, men and women of this sovereign, of the most sovereign and powerful National Assembly, the legitimate and constitutional legislative power. We are here today. We have to swear in before the National Assembly, and as we always do, we have complied with this Constitution. We are abided by the Constitution that emerged from our hands, from the people of Venezuela. Citizen Carislia Beatriz Rodriguez, Magistrate and President of the Supreme Court of Justice, magistrates, men and women who honor this event. Citizen Elvis Amoroso, President of the Electoral Power. Heads of and leaders of the people and legitimate citizens who were writers of the most advanced constitution and the most prominent Attorney General of the Republic, President of the Citizen Power, Dr. William Tarek Saab. So, already in Angostura, Bolívar, in his speech and in his project before the Congress, claims the creation of a fourth power, the citizen power, the moral power, for a reform, for a moral reform of the republic. Big dreams there in Angostura, in which we were born and in which Colombia was born as well. The great Colombia of liberators, citizen, ombudsman, and general and public defender, legislators, the great patriotic pole of the PSUV party, and legislators of the political parties, of opposition parties, of the Democratic National Assembly, officials of the senior executive of the Bolivarian Armed Forces, General-in-Chief Padrino Hernandez Lares, commanders of the Navy, of the militias of the Bolivarian Republic, who are just encouraging and who are just supporting us. And well, my acknowledgement, my permanent acknowledgement. Family, Celia, my wife, our sons, our grandsons and granddaughters, our sisters, our brothers, and to the general movement, to the indigenous peoples who are here present, to my working class who is always loyal, to the people, to the men and women on the streets, to the farmer movements and to the female movements and to the feminist movements and to the communal movements, neighboring movements of every town, of sports movements, cultural movements, artists of Venezuela. A big applaud to those who are carrying the songs and the spiritual strength of the homeland. To all the community, to all the national community, and I want to greet especially to the over 2,000 delegates, men and women of over 120 countries who are here today in Venezuela, accompanying the swearing-in ceremony, the historical swearing-in ceremony of the people at the Global Congress against fascism that has been born in Caracas. To all the people in Venezuela, today our people are on the streets, are marching and participating in the swearing-in ceremony that it is of the people. Today I have received the symbolic elements abided by the law, by which a president must swearing of power and authority. I swore with the strength and the commitment demonstrated all over these years of struggle. At this National Assembly I came, there were other faces, and I swore in. By then, the president Diosdado Cabello took my oath of office, and we were devastated, broken hearted for the loss of the everlasting, the victorious, beloved Commander Chavez, who's always present in our lives. So the presidential sash was his sash, because I swore in front of him absolute loyalty to his legacy, to his fight, to his dreams, that were the original dreams of Bolivar, of the giants, because Hugo Chavez made the historical deed of bringing to the 21st century the ideas and projects, the dreams of the men and women who expelled the Spanish Empire from all South American lands. And so the special envoy of President Vladimir Putin has just arrived. Welcome. A historical deed. And with the sash of Commander Hugo Chavez, I swore in to move forward to lead all his dreams and strengths. I always, well, for those who like attacking Venezuela, and to those traitors of the homeland who want to make a choir, to those attacking Venezuela from outside, from overseas, I say to you, we are the builders of this constitution. We are the writers of the constitution. This constitution was burned despite you, the oligarchy. This constitution of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela that guarantees a democratic state of rights and justice was burned despite all your conspiracies or imperial conspiracies, and was written by the people, and it was approved by the people, and it has been defended by the people. And today we could say that this constitution is victorious and Venezuela is at peace. This historical act is possible because Venezuela is at peace, in full exercise of its national sovereignty, its popular sovereignty, its national independence. And I greet the arrival of President Zelaya, who has brought the force of Morazán, and Ralph Gonsalves from the Grenadines, Saint Vincent and the Grenadines. He's joining the army of the brave. We have complied, we have been abided by the Constitution always, because we wrote it with the people. When I swore in front of the National Assembly, by then right now Jorge Rodriguez, and then when they gave me the presidential sash, seeing the beauty of this process, that this sash was brought to me, that represents the historical struggle struggles of our people during these years, during 10 years, and these years represent a review, a summary of the 500 battles against all hegemony, against all imperialisms, because if something characterizes the history of our 500-year history of Venezuela, is the history of resistance, of the historical marvelous resistance against all forms of domination, against all kinds of colonialism, against all kinds of imperialisms. And I felt a great emotion when I received this presidential sash made by the hands of women, of humble women of the neighborhoods of Caracas, made by the hands of artisans. So it is a special sash because it brings the blessings of the people. And I say to the people, I carry your band, your presidential sash, and so the people has made the sash, and I have never failed to you. I will keep moving forward with the hurricane strength of a people that wants peace, future, prosperity. No one dares to mess around with the people of Venezuela. There's gonna be peace, and there is peace, and there will always be peace because we are warriors of history, and so we will guarantee peace as the national sovereignty forever. It is a time of a lot of emotions. I am just thrilled and invaded by all memoirs and emotions of so many struggles, of so many faces. I want to greet especially to the family of our beloved Commander Hugo Chavez, professor of all my life, Adam Chavez Frias, to Chavez's daughter, Inés Chavez, and his nephew, and to all the Chavez relatives, my warm affection and my loyalty to the dream of the common father and brother of all compatriots, of all patriots of this marvelous century, 21st century here in Venezuela. When this presidential sash was put on me, I just felt a huge weight. I feel it right now. The international guests have their translations, right? Because the president of the parliament of Russia, I don't see you with the translation. Meanwhile, Daniel can interpret to you from Spanish to Russian. Help him, please. Protocol people, help him. A special envoy of President Putin. You need to guarantee him to have his translation, and a special envoy of President Xi Jinping has his translator next to him. Right. This presidential sash with 3 colors, with the 8 stars of our flag.
Ni una más, ni una menos.
Just not a less or so it is including the glorious stars of the foundation of the Republic of Colombia that represents our Guyana, our Orinoco, that represents the victory of Manuel Piar, of Simón Bolívar, that represents the foundation of the state, that got till the mountains of Ayacucho, because the state that Bolívar founded with his troops in the Orinoco made a deed to get to the Andes, to the current Peru. A state made an army, a republic, a revolutionary republic, a liberator republic, a presidential sash made by the hands of the people. When When I was coming to here to the Legislative Palace in which I sworn in, I saw thousands of people, dozens of people at the streets, in a motorcade. And the most beautiful thing of all is that the people had their presidential sash, because that's the people. The people are the presidents. The presidents. But the most powerful was when when we approached here to the original act, signed on July 5th, 1811, in the first constitutional congress in the territory that was from a Spanish colony, and that was the first republic founded. And there you see the original minute, and there I received the historical necklace that will pass by generations. There will be coming Bolivarian presidents, Chavez presidents, and this necklace will be their necklace that carried the key that opened the arch of the original minute that has the signature of our founding fathers. When I approached there, I talked to the women who accompanied me, and the child Saul, and I told them, today, more than ever, I felt the weight of commitment. And you know why? Because the power that I have, the power that I represent, the power that the Constitution bestowed to me, and these symbols bestowed to me, weren't given by a foreign government or a foreign president. Here I am not placed by the U.S. government or pro-imperialist far-right governments of Latin America. Here I don't represent the oligarchy of Latin America. I come from the people, and so I owe to the people. I owe my whole life to the people. My soul and my body are owed to the people, and so the power that I represent belongs to the people, to the people of Venezuela, and so I am loyal to the people. I just have awareness of that issue. Partners, Executive Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, and Bolivarian Captain Diosdado Cabello Rondon, and General Jorge Marquez, Vice President of Services, Hector Rodriguez, Vice President of Territorial Socialism, and Conrad poet, nobody's perfect, Alfred Nazaret. He is named by that. We have to respect names. That Alfred Nazaret Ñañez, that's his real name. Vice President of Communication and Culture. So I was aware of the high political command of the revolution. I was aware of it. I was aware of what I have to do, but that awareness have been raised in the struggle. And today, in this swearing-in ceremony, this sacred event before this National Assembly, my awareness has been raising from where I came from who elected me. I am not the president of oligarchies. I am not the president of supremacism or the imperialists. I just have an owner. I just have an only boss, and I just obey a single order, a single force, and that force is the historical force of the people, of the working people, of those men and women, children. That's the force of the strength of Bolivar, for which I swore in. That's why it is paramount to know where we are standing. If we are here, it is because the Venezuelan state, in conjunction, exercising their right to the legitimate defense in front of a global conspiracy on social media, sponsored by the U.S. power and its allies in Latin America and the world, turned the presidential election of Venezuela into a global election. But we won. But the Venezuelan people won over the imperialism and its diplomacy of deceit, and so they don't know how to retaliate from our people. No one can defeat us. I told you. I just warn you to the outgoing government of the United States. It's not a single man. It is not Maduro. It is a people that evolves, that grows in a single voice, because it is a people. It is Chavez, it is Bolivar, it is the present history, past history, and future history, and we are just mostly future history. And that is why I always say they intended to, and they turned the presidential election into a global election. That was the jewel of the crown. How can I say it? So the jewel crown of the imperialism of the United States, the United States of Europe, and the fascism is defeated. Oligarchy is defeated. So whatever it takes, we are warriors, and so we will be standing steadfast, and we will be ever onward to victory, whatever it takes, because we weren't born at the day of the traitors, coward people. And now, and now the journalist, as Ignacio Ramones said in the interview, our dear intellectual European, he commented me, this great man of honor, this Dominican left-wing leader, Miguel Mejías, said to me that right now the imperialism was crazy because they enter into a stage of craziness. They are just nerve-wracking. They are just totally mad at the north. The far-right presidents, the far-right fascist presidents are just puppets and are just hateful, feeling a lot of hatred, and so they believe that the Venezuelan people will let them to impose a president here. They didn't learn the lesson that we taught to Guaidó. And I say, comrades, that imperialism and the oligarchies and the far right will never learn a lesson. When in 2002 they defeated Commander Chavez and they ousted him by Pedro Carmona Standard and eradicated the constitution, Chavez said they don't understand. They aren't able to understand, and when they try to impose as Guaidó, who is a thief, a criminal, and they thought that as they were coming all above Venezuela, the Venezuelan people would chicken down. And so they didn't understand it by that time, and today they don't understand. The far right, who's been led by a neo-Nazi Javier Milei alongside the U.S. imperialism, they think they could impose Venezuela a president, but Venezuela cannot be imposed anything. Nobody in this world. They can't and they won't be able ever. A Guaidó 2.0 said to the people on the street, a new Guaidó. And he's coming with the same narrative. There we saw it. There we saw the plans. Yesterday we could see the plans, Diosdado. Did you see it? Well, he saw it, and there he was. Diosdado didn't want to mention it at his program. Today, do you have the program? Who is agreeing? Do you agree that today be the Diosdado's program? Do you agree? Yes. Well, I am not, because we discovered the plans. There we have it. That blue purse has everything, Diosdado. The famous purse. Beyond the good humor that always encourages us, that always cheers up, as Aquiles Nazoja would say, between love and humor, as Ali Primera would say, the great Ali. I invoke to the spirit of Ali and his blessings and all the forces of our people, that between rage and kindness, or as Che Guevara would say, a truthful revolutionary is full of love for humanity. Glory to Ernesto Che Guevara. So today they tried to become, and they became, the election, well, the swearing-in ceremony that here we called swearing-in ceremony here, my oath of office, which is constitutionally, they try to turn it in a global war. That they say that they are invaded, that they are going to enter, that the person that who's coming, that they are coming. Say whatever you want to say, do whatever you want to do, but this swearing-in ceremony, this Venezuelan event, you couldn't prevent it, and it is a big victory of the Venezuelan democracy, of the people who want peace. It is a great victory of Venezuela. Peace, and always peace. They couldn't defeat us, and they won't defeat us ever. And from that we could make up a very good song. You could compose a good song united with Mal Enrique or Armando Martinez or Mabel Peligrosi or Boni Cepeda or Cristobal Jimenez, who is here. So a good song you could compose from that. You won't ever defeat us, and so for wherever you enter, you will be expelled out. You can receive help from Jul. So today we have achieved what we know we are going to achieve, the holding the swearing-in ceremony at peace. And I have never seen before, but I have never seen that conspiracy, the one that we are just unveiling and defeating and dismantling. I see people here as President Daniel Ortega and President Díaz-Canel, and I see decades of struggles against the permanent conspiracy of the imperialism. Supremacists believe they are owners of the world. They think that there is time for a new Pope's order, that order that divided the whole Americas for an empire and for another one. The Spanish empire was delivered the lands of what is California below, and the English empire was delivered that of the 13 colonies, and the Portuguese empire was delivered current Brazil. So it was a Pope's verdict, and so the troops were deployed all over the peoples, and they exterminated indigenous peoples who live in our lands. And then they went to Africa, to our sister Africa, and they brought there over 50 million grandparents who came in the slavery ships, and they were subjected, they were disappeared, and they were forced to be displaced from their original culture, and they brought to us their strength, their spirituality, their traditions. And so today for Africa, for us, is the motherland for us. So long live motherland of Africa. So we are embracing so much history. I have never seen such a conspiracy, the conspiracy that we have been dismantling. Always always disguised with the diplomacy of deceit. There's a kind of deceitful diplomacy with the carrots. Jorge Rodriguez, you are an expert on the issue, because he has been facing all kinds of diplomacies, imperial European diplomacies. So someday you will have to write a good book, you will have to be to create a documentary for Netflix. So a diplomacy, or the policy of the carrots policy. Do you know it? So you go after this carrot, and they deceive you, and out of the blue they stabbed you at the back. Another one is the diplomacy of deceit with a blow, with the big blow, like the Monroe Doctrine. But we have, as the Catholic people has, the Catholic people developed exorcism ceremonies. Let's greet religious sectors that are here: Catholics, evangelical, Jewish, Muslims, both Buddhists, ancestral religions here present. They developed techniques, and a fundamental element was the stick. Have you seen that history? A wooden cross with a stick to combat demons that could be also a woman. Maybe sometimes it is a man and others a woman. So the women as demons, it is worst in this story. And we have our wooden cross. So we are just you are fighting against the Monroe Doctrine and for the diplomacy of peace and sovereignty. So you cannot go to Venezuela to colonize or domain by the diplomacy of deceit using the carrots policy, nor with the carrots or a blow. Venezuela must be respected once and ever, as we have made it respect during all these years. We are a country of peace, a country with a peaceful and democratic capacity and vocation. Commander Chavez paved the way of history almost 25 years ago. Last December 15, our people commemorated exercising their popular sovereignty in over 1,000 communal circuits. Our people commemorated the foundation of the Republic of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, that provided the Bolivarian character. That constitution that you see here in blue is the only constitution in the history of Venezuela that have been made based on a national dialogue, on a national consensus, on a national debate. It is the only constitution in history. Children, youngsters of Venezuela, is the only constitution in 200 years that was submitted to a referendum for the people to agree with the constitution. So showing democracy, showing a full democracy. Undoubtedly, Commander and President Hugo Chavez was the historical leader, more democratic in the Republican life, in the public life of Venezuela. There's no discussion about it.
Hemos tenido 31 elecciones.
We have held 31 elections in 25 years.
Este año vamos a tener
This year we will
3
have
elecciones constitucionales obligatorias.
we will hold 3 constitutional elections
Nos preguntaba,
which
todavía
are
nos pregunta,
compulsory, and so
¿por
many
qué
people in the
ustedes
world ask
sometidos
us
a 930
why you who are
sanciones criminales
being
económicas? Porque
who
ustedes
have been
sometidos a una
suffering
guerra económica,
to over
psicológica,
900
comunicacional,
economic
política,
sanctions
diplomática,
and a diplomatic psychological war.
convocaron
And
elecciones
why did
presidenciales
you
en esas condiciones?
summon the presidential elections under such conditions? And I say,
Porque nosotros
because we
somos constitucionalistas.
are
Porque nosotros
constitutionalists,
nuestra
because
constitución
we
a rajatabla.
complied
Porque
with our
estamos
constitution
respaldados y
very
confiados
strictly,
en el pueblo.
because we trust in our people, and because we want to summon presidential elections for the people to exercise their sovereignty. That is why.
Y este año,
And this year
por lo menos, vienen 3 elecciones
we will
constitucionales.
hold 3 constitutional elections.
Una de ellas es de la
One of
Asamblea
them
Nacional, esta Asamblea
is
Nacional.
is from the National Assembly.
El fascismo está tan en
So
decadencia
the
que ya no se atreven ni a
fascism
decir que
is
ellos tienen
such
una
in a
Asamblea Nacional paralela
backsliding
por Guaidó.
that
Guaidó
they
es
don't
como
dare
en
to
el country
say
club de
that they
Miami.
have a parallel assembly.
En los
And
grandes
Guaidó
campamentos,
is
mientras
just
llaman a la
being
gente aquí a la calle,
is
a la
just
misma hora está Guaidó
playing
jugando pádel y
is
disfrutando
just playing games and enjoying the millions he stole from Venezuela.
para ellos el oposicionismo y la
Because
conspiración
for
es un
them
gran negocio.
the
Salen
opposition
forrados en billetes.
and conspiracy is a big business, and so they are
La
just
primera elección
billionaires.
que está
And the
planteada,
first
o
election
una
that
de las
is
3 elecciones, la Asamblea
that is being
Nacional.
planned, it is the election of the National Assembly.
La Asamblea Nacional me ha dicho el
The National
diputado
Assembly,
Jorge Rodríguez
well, the
que va a convocar a la
legislator
mesa de
Jorge
diálogo
Rodriguez
política
told me
nacional
that he will
en los
summon
próximos días
in the
junto al
coming
Consejo
days
Nacional Electoral para evaluar
alongside
el cronograma electoral
the
y
National
ponerle
Council.
fecha a la
They
convocatoria de las
will
elecciones de la
assess
Asamblea Nacional,
the
de
to
gobernaciones y
to
alcaldías,
set a
de
the,
consejos municipales
to
y
set a
consejos
date
legislativos.
for the elections of
Me parece
communal and legislative councils.
bien si se hacen las
And
elecciones por
I
separado.
think it's right if
Es la idea que a
they
mí me gusta.
the idea that I like is to
El poder
hold
electoral
elections separately, but the
es parcialista.
the
Primero una,
electoral
después otra, después otra.
power is the one that decides. And
Las
so
alcaldías.
who's going to be the first one? The one of the mayors of the
Es mucho trabajo.
governorates of the National Assembly. It is a lot of work.
Este año
So the National Assembly
toma
must
posesión
be elected this year, and so the National Assembly
posesión, pero no la posesión que tú tienes en el programa.
takes office, but not the position that,
Tú sacas esa marca,
not the post that you have in the program, Diosdado.
marca posesión.
If you
La
polish
Asamblea
that
Nacional que se elija,
that branch, that market,
este
it
año,
will
desde que se
be
elija,
vital. So this year,
en febrero,
the one that
esa
if
asamblea
if the
tomaría
National
posesión.
Assembly
Doctor
be
Escalada,
elected in
el consorte
February,
constituyente,
the-
maestro nuestro, se tomaría posesión el 5 de enero
it will swear
glorioso y
in the
pacífico
next
año 2026.
in the
Estaríamos
next
acudiendo a
November
un
5th,
momento bonito,
2025, and this would be a very beautiful and historical
aunque no me
time.
corresponde porque este es un acto de
Well,
Estado,
this is
solamente
not of,
soy
I
parte de
have
nadie.
no authority
ya
to
nosotros estamos
say,
trabajando
but
las listas
we are just already working on
candidatos y
the
candidatas.
list of our nominees for the event.
Diosdado hace así que
Diosdado,
porque nosotros si
because
tenemos algo,
we,
Diosdado, es que somos
if we have something to say, is that we are just proactive.
Winston, tenemos
proactive and not proactive, and so we are just foreseeing the scenarios because we have to get ready, because this year we will be holding three paramount elections for peace, stability, and prosperity, and so entrepreneurs of all companies nationwide, this will guarantee the economic growth of this year 2025 that will be outstanding. So, of the 31 elections, we have won 29. The historical bloc of the revolution, because in Venezuela we have a powerful popular military of permanent fusion bloc of 5 generations who are activated in the permanent and constructive work for the country. In these 31 elections, we add three more constitutional ones, and so when we gave the accounts, when we will give the accounts next in the next account, we will say that there have been holding 34 elections. So we are a force, we are a historical project, educated and forged and developed as a democratic project, as a popular project. We are a great patriotic and historical bloc that has been made up of historical events that change the history, and we have collecting an ideology, or a Caribbean and Latin Americanist ideology, which is not foreign, because the ideology was forged in the struggles of the country. And I always say to all that we, the Bolivarians, that we, the Chavez people, are real. We have our own strength, and the history of Venezuela will continue to be written in a steadfast way, with this strength, with this project, with this spirituality, with this political culture, in a determined way. Those who disregard and intend to disregard us, and they have been underestimating us, and so they have been making the biggest mistake in politics and geopolitics. Let's not expect so much, because those oligarchies who hate supremacists, that the U.S. imperialism, don't understand our democratic process. Let's not believe in that ever. We have a diplomacy of peace, and it will continue to be. And we believe in dialogue, in negotiations, very well. But the support of us, it is our own efforts, our consolidation, and the truthful strength that we multiplied. So to the weakens, to the coward, to the traitors are not respected in this world. So see what is happening in Canada and Panama. So can you ever see a more puppet being than Trudeau in global policy? Someone raises his or her hand to give an example of a more clear show. So cowards are never respected, are always humiliated and destroyed, So those who subdued to the imperialism are those who made pacts with the evil. So they are used, burned, and then kicked off. Then get rid of them. So those who understand it. Thus I celebrate, I commend the summon by the President of the National Assembly at this dialogue table, which is very important for the political agenda of the country to continue guaranteeing the course of democracy, of internal peace, of stability. We didn't come to an electoral campaign, which, by the way, was very joyful. I said to Syria, my wife, one evening when we were watching the videos on social media summoning the swearing-in ceremony, that we were at the electoral campaign, in my case, as a candidate, which it was very amusing, with a patriotic nature, and we were attending to an electoral campaign, and the far right and fascism wage war, and so we went to a gathering of people, of ballots, but they went to an assault of power, to a coup d'etat, to an organized uprisings, and for making foreigners to interfere. But we defeated them with the Constitution and the law at our hands, and peace could be reestablished on July 31st. But one of the great achievements, I think, that the major achievement that we obtained from the process of the electoral campaign was the great consultation, the national consultation in the assemblies, in the communal assemblies, that allow us to debate with the people the issues of the problem, of the issues of the country, the priorities that the people, that the communes have, and that must be ahead of the future of 2054. So here it is. I can show you the plan that emerged from the consultation of over 3 million Venezuelans in over 100,000 communal assemblies in the territory, in 2 rounds during the electoral campaign and after the electoral triumph of July 28th. The plan that is going to lead the homeland, the plan that is going to enhance Venezuela in a simultaneous, harmonious way towards prosperity and social equity, which was made by the people. And I summarize it, and it is going to be the plan that is going to be pursued in the upcoming years. So we have a plan for the future, we have president, and the plan of the big transformations, the plan of the 7G. The 7T, and I am just polishing this plan. It is a it has been developed harmoniously, simultaneously, which we have learned from the military strategy of General Padrino, of the simultaneity of all fronts towards targets. Am I right? Yes.
simultaneidad,
So,
comandante Daniel Ortega,
simultaneity, Commander Daniel
en el
Ortega,
avance en varios frentes,
in the advance in several
que
fronts,
la realidad no es una sola, la
because
realidad tiene
reality
muchos
is not a
componentes,
single
muchos
one, but it is made up of several components, and our people knows it. Our people is very cultured and marvelous
dijo Chávez.
and giant
8 de
people.
diciembre.
And
Hoy
Chavez
tenemos
said
pueblo.
on December 8th,
Hoy tenemos
today we
patria.
have we have
Y
a people,
pase lo
we
que
have a
pase,
homeland, and
seguiremos teniendo pueblo, seguiremos
whatever
teniendo patria. Vaya pueblo, vaya
they
patria,
do,
que hemos
we will
logrado
continue to have a people
madurar,
and we will continue to have a
acrecentar,
homeland. So
fortalecer.
long live the people which have been strengthened.
Este documento lo entregaré
And this document I will
en
deliver
los próximos días cuando
in the
sea
upcoming
citado
days when I
por la
will
Asamblea
be
Nacional a rendir
subpoenaed
memoria y
by
cuenta del
the
año
National
anterior.
Assembly to give accounts of the
Yo lo cargo aquí.
2024 year. So I have it here, here.
Bien trabajado,
I am working on it,
bien definido.
and I have already worked, and it is a very well defined
Se vean los secretos aquí.
plan. Let me now show you the secrets.
Las 7 grandes transformaciones
The 7
simultáneas
big
que tienen que ser
simultaneous
atendidas,
transformations that must be pursued by the state and the government,
sobre todo por el
and
pueblo.
by the governorates, and most of all by the people.
Pueblo,
The
si no hay pueblo, no hay
if
democracia.
there isn't people, there isn't democracy, there isn't republic. So without the people, we are nothing. And so for the people are is not
Para el
only a
pueblo,
number,
nosotros el pueblo no
but
es un dato de una encuesta.
it's not a datum of a
Para
poll.
nosotros el pueblo es un ser
The people
viviente,
is a living being,
consciente, actuante,
a word
porque
acting
la
being,
Constitución lo reza
because
con mucha
the
claridad.
Constitution
Vaya que la oligarquía
stipulates
se opuso al concepto
that with
constitucional
lots of
de
clarity,
soberanía.
despite the
Esa
oligarchy
putrefacta,
opposed to it,
desquiciada,
of that
violenta,
crazy and violent and fascist
ponía al
oligarchy
que
who was
determina
that
que la
were
soberanía
opposed
del
to
pueblo,
the sovereignty of the
la
people,
soberanía
to the
reside
sovereignty lies
intransferiblemente en el
in the
pueblo,
people,
que la ejercerá
that
de manera
the
directa.
people exercises their sovereignty directly. So I summon the sovereignty of the people,
Para que la ejerza de manera
the,
directa,
the,
gobernando.
for the people to exercise it by
Gobierno del
ruling
pueblo, para el pueblo, con
the,
el pueblo.
the government of the
Gobierno
people, for the
obedencial.
people, and with the people.
¿Quién se cayó por ahí? Llegó el mundo.
So Edmundo arrived.
Recojan.
Why are you so
Recojan
silent?
su pataruco.
So pick up your little bird.
Alguien se cayó por ahí.
Someone fell
Como yo
over
estoy esperando
there.
que
As I am expecting
Estoy nervioso.
for Edmundo Gonzalez to come, I am nervous.
7 líneas
He's
estratégicas con sus
seven
lineamientos prácticos.
strategic lines
Esto es
with
hermoso.
its practical lines,
La primera gran
practical
transformación,
alignment. The first transformation to
la
deepen
construcción del
the
nuevo
construction
modelo
of the
económico
new economic
productivo,
national model
diversificado.
of production
autosustentable.
diversified.
No esperemos nada sino de
And
nosotros mismos.
so let's not expect
produzcamos
anything
alimentos,
but from
cemento,
ourselves. Let's produce
ropa,
food,
tecnología,
technology,
produzcamos todo lo que
clothes,
necesitamos aquí.
everything that we need here,
Con el apoyo maravilloso
with
de
the
los avances
marvelous support
de los
of
países
the
potencia, aquí presentes,
advancements
nuestros
of
hermanos mayores de China,
our sister nations
India.
powers, our India, Russia, China.
primera línea, y aquí
First
están,
line,
miren,
and here
todas
you
las
see
acciones que ya están en
all
pleno desarrollo.
actions that are in full development,
Plan
that are on the
económico
way.
no lo hizo la oligarquía.
This economic plan was
Para
not
sus
made by the
negocios
oligarchy for their
Este plan de las
business
7
and
transformaciones
interests.
no lo
This
hicieron en
seven
Washington, en
transformation
inglés.
plan wasn't
No lo
made
hicieron
in
los
Washington,
bufetes de los multimillonarios. Este
wasn't
plan
made by
lo
the
hizo el pueblo, y el
puppets
pueblo
of
lo va a
billionaires,
defender,
and
el pueblo lo va a
the,
llevar
it was
adelante
this
y
plan
lo va a
was made by the
desarrollar.
people, and so the people will
Segunda
defend
gran
it,
línea.
developed,
Plan de
and so second
transformación
line,
económica, mira, tiene detalles
the economic
importantes.
transformation
Aquí
plan
tenemos
I have important details. We have the leader of the economy, Delcy, and the second transformation, which is vital because it is a priority, the construction of humane cities, of humane peoples for boosting the welfare of people. Humane cities to boost welfare and to recover the full development of all public services, the telecommunications, including telecommunications, internet, water, electricity, gas, all public services as public transformation, housing, and recreative centers as parks. And so the second transformation is the big urban transformation of cities and people, and towns and villages. And the third big transformation that we have activated and planned in a strategic way, it is the guarantee of the security and defense of the country, of the unity of the union and of the territorial unity and integrity. Comrade Padrino, the development of all mechanism of joining the military and civic power. So the strategy is meant so we are prepared for everything. The third big transformation is to consolidate the defense mechanism and the security mechanism for Venezuela to become a country every time much safer and much. So we have been combating all cartels sponsored by Colombia, by Uribe, by Iván Duque, who has been financing with drug trafficking the Tren de Aragua, Tren del Llano cartels. And I told you, Iván Duque and Uribe, we are already defeating you. We are defeating your smugglers and your cartels. The fourth transformation is vital. It's the social model. It is the big transformation for social development and protection, to reaching the maximum social equity, following Bolivar's ideals. Everything that has to do with advancing in the big missions. We have achieved to activate the fusion of the big mission of housing in Venezuela, of a tricolor neighborhood, because we will build up 3 million houses for our people. The development of the great missions for women, to support the women's empowerment and protection for our youngsters who are students, for our dear grandparents of our homeland. Let's applaud our grandparents. I am including in those grandparents. The fifth big transformation that continues to be the political dimension, the political transformation of popular power. We can always do more, and we are always compelled to do more for the people. From the people, we are always forced to do our best. And what is the method? The method of the air governments, bureaucratic governments who take office and forget about the people, or the method of this popular self-government, and that the resources be allocated to the people to execute their communal projects. What is the method? Today, speaking of revolution in Venezuela, if Commander Chavez spoke about a Bolivarian revolution in 1992, 1998, in 2000, the revolution made by Chavez was epic, extraordinary, unprecedented, unique, and so he paved the way. But we always have to review and to adjust the concept of revolution. When we say Bolivarian revolution of the 21st century, what we say? We say, and we have to say, more profound, more intense popular democracy and self-government, more freedom, and a powerful economic development that supports the economic grounds of the social development and the construction of a new state, of a new power. What the oligarchy offers. To come back to the new old system, to the new old system of oligarchies, the old system. No, we cannot go back to that. So, someone could ask me, what do you offer? I am not going to offer, but I am going to do, and we will do the revolution of the 2025-2031, which will be a democratized revolution. We are just here to do, not to offer. Who's going to offer? Let's kick him out of here, ideologically speaking. Well, it can be we can be accused of violence, and so Silita is mad when I refer in those terms. Silita is very, very beautiful, right? She is very chic. I got surprised because I just get dressed and I just came out of the house and I was studying, and then out of the blue, Silita came out and I saw such. This is a truthful first lady, the first lady of the homeland, so chic. So the first combatant, Madam Silita. Oh, she is ashamed. Well, the fifth transformation, the sixth transformation is urgent. Presidents, visitors, prime ministers, foreign ministers, special envoys, leaders of your countries, ambassadors, men and women, of all friend countries of the world, social leaders. Climate change is so sad what is happening there in California. Delcy lived over there in a time, and she studied there. She was studying for being an actress for Hollywood. It is very sad what is happening there due to the global warming, the climate crisis, the extreme heats, the extreme rainfalls, hurricanes who batter so much the Caribbean nations, and so the powers always just implement diplomacy of deceit. No one can. So we have to defeat the diplomacy of deceit. No one can be trapped into these deceits. The diplomacy of deceit regarding climate, they offer billions and they don't allocate any funds for saving the planet. So the sixth big transformation is to build up cities and to build up a green economy. To build up an ecological society, a new productive ecological system, and Venezuela will be turned into green. That is the sixth transformation. And the seventh big transformation is geopolitics, to boost with our strength of 1,000 hurricanes, the emerging of the new multipolar era and the incorporation of Venezuela at the front line of the new geopolicy of peace and development of the world. Together with the BRICS, Venezuela is already of the BRICS since Bolívar triumphed in Junín, since Sucre triumphed in Ayacucho. We are from the BRICS from 200 years ago because we are forging a new history in this 21st century, and we are already achieving it, articulating and strengthening the ALBA, the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of our America, rebuilding the Petro-Caribbean, taking new dimensions, and cooperating with the Petro-Caribbean states, saving them from the neo-colonialist fascism to the community of the CELAC, from the division and conspiracy. It is not new. 200 years ago, by those days, after the Ayacucho victory, Simón Bolívar summoned the Congress of Panama, and it was activated the diplomacy of intrigue, of evil, of division. And that diplomacy managed to sell ideas that Bolívar wanted to be the emperor of the Americas, and so generated distrust of Bolívar. So they refer to Bolívar as the crazy of the South. And so there's a conflict between Monroe and Latin America. So it has achieved at least 200 years. In that time, when Bolívar arrived in June 1826 to Panama, Panama was the dream of the liberator, the axis of the union of the whole Americas, from California to Argentina. And when Bolívar arrived riding his horse to Panama, the damage was already made. The personal ambitions, individualism, were just woven for the divisionist intrigue. And so the oligarchy of Quito, Lima, Buenos Aires, Bogota, and other places summoned to the Congress of Panama 1826. They arrived there just making problems, making a fuss. And so Santander was
porque no tenían
pointed out
en
that
ese encierro, no tenían
Bolivar
por qué participar. Y sorpresa de Bolívar,
didn't invite
al
him,
llegar al
and
hemiciclo
so
de
Bolivar was
sesiones,
surprised
donde se iba a instalar el
by
Congreso de
getting
Panamá,
there
y encontrarse en primera fila
to find on the front line
los que habían hecho la intriga y habían llevado
those
el
who
chisme,
have
la
made
maldad y la
conspiracies
perversidad
and
a todas las
gossips
capitales para
to
entonces
all
de
capitals
América naciente,
of
antes española.
that emerging America belonging to the Spanish Empire.
Luego pasaron 2 siglos.
Then 200
Tuvo
years
que llegar
passed
la
by,
primera
and
primavera
the first spring arrived,
progresista
a
de
progressive
izquierda y
and
revolucionaria,
left-wing revolutionary spring,
unida en su
united
diversidad.
in its diversity.
Porque Chávez siempre me
Because
insistía cuando yo era canciller,
Chavez always said to me
Somos
that
diversos, Nicolás.
we are,
Cada
he
quien lleva su
insisted that
proyecto
we are
nacional.
diverse.
Así lo
Everyone
entendió Bolívar también.
is independent
Cada quien lleva
to pursue its national project,
su bandera, sus héroes, sus
its
ideas.
flags, its heroes,
Pero
its
en Bolívar nos
ideas.
unimos todos.
But Bolivar
En la unión
is the
nos unimos
unity of
todos.
all.
Y esa primera primavera
And that first spring
de proyectos progresistas,
of progressist projects, of left-wing projects, revolutionary projects in that dimension,
la maravilla
he achieved the wonder
del
that
año 2011
on
aquí en
December
Caracas
3rd,
naciera el sueño de Bolívar, 200
2011,
años después, y se fundara la comunidad
there
de
was
estados
the emergence
latinoamericanos
of
y
the
caribeños.
the
Así que
emergence
tenemos
of
una gran
the
misión de salvar la
CELAC.
ciudad
So
de la
we
intriga,
have a
del
great mission
fascismo,
of
del
saving
sionismo,
CELAC from the intrigue,
del
from
divisionismo,
Zionism, from
del
division,
chantaje
from blackmail,
y del pitillanquismo.
and from the
7 grandes
US
transformaciones
imperialism. 7 big transformations to build
la Venezuela superior,
the upper Venezuela,
para consolidar la paz,
to
la
consolidate
independencia, la
peace,
soberanía,
independence, sovereignty,
para ver hecha realidad
to
los
see
sueños de la prosperidad económica con un modelo propio
to see come true the
autosustentable,
dreams of
que hemos echado
the
las bases,
homeland
que funciona
with
y
a
que vamos a hacer
an own
funcionar
model
mucho
that
mejor
works out and will
en
be
todos los aspectos
working better in
productivos,
all
tecnológicos,
productive,
gerenciales.
technological
Tenemos una maravillosa
management
relación que hemos logrado en
areas.
estos años de
We
dificultades. Hemos logrado el
managed to
encuentro y el
face
reencuentro con todos los sectores
lots of
empresariales
hardships,
del país.
and we have managed to meet with all entrepreneurs of the country. And so I want to send a crystal clear
A
message
todos los
to
emprendedores y
all
emprendedoras de Venezuela,
entrepreneurs of
a
Venezuela,
toda la gente dedicada al
to all
comercio y a la
people
economía.
dedicated to commerce and economy. We have
Hemos
the
echado
plan,
las bases.
we
Hemos
have
tenido
made the
grandes logros de
foundations,
crecimiento
and we have
y debemos
achieved
unirnos
great,
cada vez más para
a
que
great
Venezuela
growth, and so
siga
we
su
must be
senda
united
de
every time
recuperación,
more
de
to
construcción de
continue
un nuevo
with
modelo
the
económico.
recovery of
Cuenten conmigo,
an
empresarios y
economic
empresarias.
model. So
Yo cuento
count
con
on me, entrepreneurs, because I count on you.
Tenemos grandes tareas.
We have big tasks ahead.
Necesarias,
They are necessary,
que nos convocan y nos deben unir.
that urge us
Nosotros, los bolivarianos,
to fulfill, and
los chavistas,
we must be united by them. So we, the Bolivarians, the Chavez people, we are the biggest guarantee of stability, peace, and existence of the
eso se lo digo a
Republic.
los venezolanos y a las
I
venezolanas.
say to all Venezuelans,
Nosotros somos la
men
mayor
and women,
garantía de la existencia
we
de una
are the
democracia
biggest
incluyente,
guarantee
convocante
of
y
an
dialogante.
inclusive
Soy un hombre,
democracy. I am a man of dialogue.
sé escuchar
I
y sé
know to
aprender
listen to, and I know
de hasta las más
to
duras
learn. So
críticas
even
y
the
señalamientos.
harshest criticism and suggestions, I
En el
think,
diálogo
I believe in
como
dialogue
la forma más hermosa
as the
para
most
comprender
beautiful
la
thing
diversidad de lo que es
to
el existir
comprehend
humano.
the diversity of human beings.
Estoy enfrentado,
So I am facing,
estamos enfrentados
and
como
we are
pueblo
facing as a
a
people,
corrientes negacionistas,
the denial
intolerantes,
currents who are not
que nos quieren matar,
tolerant
que
and
quieren
who
destruir
are
la idea de
striving
patria y
for
de república.
killing us and for destroying
A
the
esas
idea of
corrientes
homeland and
les
republic.
digo,
So I told
con la
those currents
Constitución en la mano,
that with
con la unión de toda
constitutions
Venezuela,
at my hand,
los
and
vamos a seguir
that
derrotando
we will continue
con la
defeating
ley,
you
con
with
la
the law,
Constitución y la justicia.
abided by the
Pero todo
constitution and
venezolano de
justice,
bien,
but all
más
good
allá de lo que crea y
Venezuelans,
lo que piense,
beyond what you believe or
una vez
think,
más,
once
ustedes
again,
me conocen,
you know me.
saben
You know
que no soy un patiquín,
that I am not
saben
a puppet, that I am not,
un constructo, una hechura
that I am not a,
artificial,
I am not an artificial person. That I am honest. That I do not represent mobs, cartels, or criminal groups or oligarchies. You know that I am not subdued to any foreign imperialist government or of any kind. You know that I am a nationalist, that I am a compatriot, that I am a humanist.
con la moral que
And with the moral that I have
como humanista,
as a humanist,
como hombre de a pie,
as a
luchando
man
en los barrios
of the
Caracas,
people, of the working class,
como un hombre de la
as
clase obrera, como
the
un
man of
presidente
the,
obrero,
as a working president, I summon to all sectors, to all economic, political, ideological, cultural, social sectors of the country to a big day of dialogue, inclusive, which will be inclusive, unitary, to advance together to reach a great constitutional reform to democratize Venezuela more,
actualice los postulados
to
de la
update
Constitución sobre las bases de la nueva
our
economía,
articles of the constitutions of under the basis of the new economy of the new society that we must build up, more humanistic, more democratic, to update the constitution for defend the country from the new technological threats
ya conocemos
that we already know on social media and all that cultural garbage that intends to destroy the axis of family, that intends to destroy our culture, to impose a deculturization, a massive deculturization, imposing chaos to dominate,
actualizar
to domain. So we must update this beauty that
para hacerla
has already fulfilled 25 years, to make it better, to make it greater. And so that's why I summoned and I will sign the decree to create the commission,
amplia nacional
the broadened commission, the broadened national commission for
para ir a un proceso de
making up
democratización y de
a
definición del
constitutional
perfil
reform
de la sociedad y la economía nueva
to
de
make
Venezuela.
to update it according to our new times of Venezuela. So there,
Al
we
mayor
will
número de
include
sectores para poder
the
convocar
biggest
a-
number of sectors.
Yo pienso que esta
I
Asamblea
think that
Nacional
this National
tiene la
Assembly
autoridad política
has
y
the
moral
political and moral
constitucional
and constitutional
para ser el
authority
epicentro este
to
año
be the axis,
ese debate
the
junto
core
al pueblo.
of this debate
Y una vez
alongside the
que tengamos
people.
elaborado
And once we have
proyecto
created the
de
project in a
inclusivo
consensus which will
por
be
los
inclusive
distintos sectores,
for which will be made by
por
the
la
different
autoridad que me da la
sectors
Constitución
and with the authority
y me da la ley,
abided by the constitutional
que me da
law
el pueblo,
and by the people,
procederé a entregar
I
a esta
will
Asamblea
proceed to
Nacional
deliver to
el
this
proyecto
National
de
Assembly
reforma
the
constitucional
project
para
of
perfeccionar,
constitutional
para
reform
ampliar, para
to
mejorar,
make
para
it better,
enriquecer
to
la Constitución
broaden
y que
and
eso se
to
proyecte
beauty the Constitution and be projected
sobre nuestro país.
on our country.
Mucho trabajo,
We have a lot of work ahead,
muchos sueños,
lots of dreams to fulfill,
muchos sueños y trabajo
to come
nos
true,
animan.
lots of dreams and work cheer us up.
Como que llegó otra vez. Busca la chuleta aquí. Muchos sueños
Many dreams
nos iluminan,
enlighten us,
nos marcan,
marked us, and cover us.
Cuando recorrí el país,
When I made the tour nationwide in the electoral presidential campaign, we have toured over 300 towns. Unfortunately, we made a campaign to wake up the forces of the people, which are made of peace. And so in that tour, I met across with a lady that told me, "Son, I told you, Jesus Christ, you are just waging an epic and biblical battle. I see you as a David, like a David defeating Goliath, which is one of the biblical myths, which is very beautiful. The people of David who defeated the Goliath empire. And so I took that idea, and then we were reviewing the biblical myths. Goliath also menaces and assaults, and also searches for those traitors to attack our homeland, and so we have been becoming more stronger. We have becoming stronger and united, more united. And so I was looking for the most outstanding moment, and so Goliath intended to humiliate the people of God, and Goliath made an ultimatum to the people of God, and he said, this ended. The final battle we will wage in Miraflores Palace. More or less, he referred to that in other biblical words. And a boy named David, seeing at his people that was fearful, that was frightened to be smashed by Goliath, because he has been so many times attacked by Goliath, and Goliath came to the final battle, to the definite day, a giant, allegedly very strong one. And David told his brothers, David was a boy of the streets, a working boy, even a shy boy, and calm. And his brothers and family and neighbors were impressed when he told them, Goliath is coming. I am going to confront Goliath. And Samuel 17, 43-47 in the Bible says that once in the place in the course to the town of David, they confronted there, and Goliath told David, approach me, come here, come closer, and I will throw your body to the wild animals and to the wild birds. And David responded, you come against me,
con esa espada,
with that sword, with that giant, huge sword, with all those instruments, because Goliath, according to the biblical myth, was 2 meters tall, and so he was with lots of war devices. He was coming with lots of war devices, with that sword and other warlike devices. But today, David, I come against you in the name of God, in the name of the powerful God, who is the God of armies and the peoples. And so he got his own, he got his, he with his humble instrument, he ended Goliath, and everything was ended there. Fascism. I, Nicolás Maduro Moros, I am David, son of the people of Venezuela. I am next to God in permanent battle with Chavez and Bolivar in permanent victory, and I swore to be the president of Venezuela, and I will fulfill it together with the people, always with the people. Thank you very much, lawmakers, men and women, delegations of 125 countries. God bless the people of Venezuela. God bless the global countries. Long live Venezuela. Long live the homeland.
This is the first speech pronounced by President Nicolás Maduro of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela following his swearing-in ceremony this January 10th at the National Assembly headquarters here in Caracas. We had the whole event live of this important, paramount event for Venezuela, and not only for Venezuela, for the region as a whole. President Nicolás Maduro referred to different topics during his speech, going all the way back to the historic struggle of the peoples of Latin America against imperialism and colonialism, from the struggles of the great liberator Simón Bolívar and José Antonio Sucre, who defeated the Spanish Empire to bring freedom and independence. He referred also to the historical struggle of the indigenous community of Latin America, who were the victims of one of the massive genocides that were committed in here by colonial forces, where 80 million people were assassinated by colonial forces of the empires of the time. He also referred to the historical struggle of the Venezuelan people since the recovery of the constitutionality in 1999 with the coming of Commander Hugo Chavez. He was talking about the projects that Venezuela has for the future and the plan to which he came to power in this occasion, which was presented during his presidential campaign last year ahead of the July 28th elections, of the 7 great transformations, also known in Venezuela as the 70s, the 70 Plan, which is the project. The President of the National Assembly is speaking. Let's see what he's saying.
Between two hearts. Let's speak about the history of Nicolás Maduro is just to refer to the history of loyalty to his people that was burned when he was very young. He joined the working class, and from the first times he accompanied Commander Chavez, and when he was the constitutional youngster who wrote the constitution alongside other revolutionaries, and when he was the foreign minister alongside Chavez and other presidents, ended the outrageous ALCA treaty against the peoples of Americas. Nicolás Maduro, who has always being loyal to his commander-in-chief, our father, Commander Hugo Chavez. When we spoke about Nicolás Maduro, if we asked to define him in just 2 words, the 2 words would be loyalty, and bravery. And we feel profoundly honored and proud of complying with our duties as legislators and with our rights as citizens of this republic in invalidating the results, the elections results that lead our leader, a brave, a loyal, that we could say him, constitutional president, loyal and brave president. So, a citizen clerk published and edit and proofread, and in all media communications, all kinds of media communications, be read the full speech of loyalty of the president, citizen Nicolás Maduro Moros. Next, clerk. Well, that's all, citizen president. So we dismissed the session, and so we invite the directive board of the National Assembly to accompany and say goodbye to constitutional president Nicolás Maduro Moros in his withdrawal of this historical room.
Well, like this, the swearing ceremony has officially concluded. President Nicolás Maduro is the constitutional president for the term 2025-2031. Now we're seeing President Nicolás Maduro exchanging some words with former Honduran president, who is at the head of the Honduran delegation that came to accompany, to support this inauguration of the popular will that was reflected in the polls last July 28th that gave the presidential victory to President Nicolás Maduro. There we are seeing that something that is very iconic of Manuel Zelaya, the former president of Honduras. He lent him his hat, his cowboy hat, a moment for him to try it on, something that is very traditional to see the former Honduran president wearing. Now the president is greeting, I believe that was Ralph Gonsalves, from Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the head of the State Duma of Russia, who came in representation of the Russian President Vladimir Putin, who was one among the first to congratulate President Maduro for his election back on July 28th. Now the president is speaking with the Cuban president, Miguel Diaz-Canel, as he's greeting all these foreign heads of states and government who came as to witness this historical moment for Venezuela. I believe I also saw in the crowd the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown, who was also here in the ceremony. Like I was saying before, the president referred to different topics in his first speech as the sworn-in constitutional president of the republic, and he was referring to the transformation, this government plan that was brought by President Nicolás Maduro in his campaign, in the presidential campaign last year, a plan that is very comprehensive and goes to all sectors of the Venezuelan society, a plan to transform and to continue moving forward the nation as a whole in all different sectors. Like in all these 7 T's, each T represents a specific sector, like in the case of security, for the defense of national security and the national integrity of the nation, the urban transformation of the country, which has been implemented over this past month with the, as he was saying in his speech, with the opening of different recreative centers for the well-being of the people, but also the strengthening of the public services like its power, water supply, gas, all these public services that are key for the prosperity of the nation, and all these other sectors which are intended for the construction of the new economic model that wants to be made, that is in accordance with the time, but always putting in the center the people of Venezuela. As President Maduro said in his speech, he is not the president of oligarchies or of foreign governments that have been trying to impose a government, as has been seen in the last years, that they first tried, so they did the first run with then Juan Guaidó, and as President Maduro said, what they're calling now Juan Guaidó 2.0, that they did not learn their lesson, they did not learn from their past mistakes and failures, because as he was saying, Venezuela will never accept a foreign puppet that is imposed on the people. That's why he was adamant that the people would always be victorious, and that's why the movement, the Bolivarian Revolution, would always be victorious, continue to move forward in a steady pace following the teachings and values of Liberator Simon Bolivar. He was also referring in his speech that never again would foreign hands intervene in Venezuela and bring about destabilization, saying that Venezuela today is at peace despite all the threats that have been projected from Western media, from Western governments, and from what he described as the Western puppets, as the puppets of the West here in Latin America with the far-right fascist governments, as described by the President Nicolás Maduro of, for example, Argentina with Milei and all these other nations that have openly expressed their support for the figure of Edmundo González and María Corina Machado, which obviously all what they were saying did not come to fruition because the Venezuelan people was today with their elected president on the streets supporting President Nicolás Maduro, supporting the institutionality of Venezuela. We continue to see live images in Caracas as the president and first combatant Celia Flores are exiting the National Assembly following this paramount swearing ceremony.
¿Qué se siente cuando se escucha?
So these are the applauses, the national solidarity of the Venezuelan people that have gathered here on the street as we heard this beautiful orchestra perform these beautiful notes representing the spirit and the heart of the Venezuelan society that have come here today to support the inauguration of President Nicolás Maduro, who we are seeing here live on our screen at teleSUR as the cultural activity continues following this paramount swearing ceremony, which, as promised by the president and the different authorities, were here present, and nothing would prevent this. Just like he was saying in his speech last year when people were telling him that how could he go to the elections, how could he organize presidential elections amid all this context of psychological and economic warfare and all the sanctions, over 900 sanctions that are imposed currently on the country. People were wondering how could Nicolás Maduro call on elections, and his answer, as he was said on his speech, was crystal clear, because in Venezuela they respect the Constitution, and if the Constitution mandates that the election has to be held, the elections were held. And as he said, the elections were held in complete normality in election day, even though following the election day We all know what happened, all these far-right attempts to bring about chaos, which were quickly defeated. And also people were wondering if it was possible.
Seguimos compartiendo la juramentación del presidente constitucional Nicolás Maduro.
We continue sharing with all our audience that are seeing us around the world this moment of joy and expression of extreme happiness that we are seeing in the people of Venezuela as President Nicolás Maduro continues to leave the National Assembly. But before doing so, greeting everyone that came here, the people, different businessmen, different authorities, different government authorities, different delegates, representatives of all sectors of societies are here today accompanying the President Nicolás Maduro in this paramount swearing ceremony that cements the strength of Venezuelan institutionality and Venezuelan democracy. I was saying before that as President Maduro had promised, there were elections, he won the elections, and as also he promised, he will be swearing here today, not because he wanted to, but because the Constitution mandates so, and as he expressed, they are vehement supporters of the Venezuelan Constitution, and what the Constitution say is word and has to be complied with. If referring to the Constitution, President was addressing in his first speech that as the nation continues to grow, so it has to adapt to the new times that are being experienced in today's geopolitical and today's scenario for the different crises that are existing. And therefore, he's calling as well for this year, 2025, to a vast dialogue session, a space for vast dialogue from the most inclusive dialogues to be held yet in Venezuela to create a constitutional reform. This constitutional reform, which he already had said before that this was going to be his first decree once he took office today, that he would ask the National Assembly to create the corresponding commissions to bring this dialogue to the people, and they had to make sure that it was the most inclusive one so far that has been held in Venezuela, one that would include all sectors from businessmen, farmers, indigenous, all sectors of Venezuelan society, of all working sectors as well, to come here and create a new constitution, because as he was saying, the current constitution of Venezuela that was authorized during the time of Hugo Chavez back in 1999 is the only constitution in the entire history of Venezuela that was created, approved, and voted on by the people. And with this planning in mind, they will go again this year to create, to improve, to adapt the constitution that already exists, to have better tools to face the current challenges that the country faces due to the different changes in the world. As time continues to move, so must we as a people, as humanity, needs to adapt and move forward with the current times to better face the challenges that we face today as a whole. So this is something that is one of the main plans. It's also announced that as per mandated by the Constitution, there are going to be 3 major constitutional elections this year. As it was pointing out, there have been 31 elections in 25 years of Bolivarian revolution in Venezuela, something that he described that puts to evidence that there's probably not a single more democratic nation in the world than Venezuela, where everything is done with the people, for the people, and always thinking of its people forever. So this is something that the main issues that are planned for this year in Venezuela. We will have 3 constitutional elections, meaning the National Assembly, the parliamentary elections, the elections for government, for governorships, for mayorships, regional local elections of the different authorities, but also has been in the news, but we have not talked about it recently. Remember that Venezuela is also trying to change, to create its own model of governance, which is a governance of the people. So also this year we will continue having elections in Venezuela, referring to the communal projects as have been described, as in the idea of this new model of government is to give straight the power to the people. So all these economic resources that little by little the country has been generating and recovering after the battery of sanctions imposed against Venezuela, they have right there from the people, from the communes, they have the power to decide where these resources are going to be monitored. We already covered here at teleSUR at the end of last year the first of one of these elections where the community elected the projects on which the resources will be spent. And this is something that is going to continue. This trend is going to continue this year as community will also have different elections of these kinds, consultation process to see in what is the money going to be spent, the resources of the people for the benefit, because the ones that know better what the community needs are the people, of course, living in those communities. This is also a call that has been made by the government for a while now, that the governments cannot be in an office. The officials, the government officials, has to be on the streets with the people, together with the people, to see what is happening. Now, as we continue in this special coverage, let's go live with our special envoys and correspondents, Unisoner Belén de los Santos, who are in Caracas to have a sum up of everything that has happened in this paramount swearing-in ceremony of President Nicolás Maduro. Belén, Yunus, hello, can you hear us? What can you tell us from your side?
Exactly, so precisely as you were saying, we're here downtown in Caracas, and the news is that Venezuela has a newly inaugurated president. Nicolás Maduro has been inaugurated for his new presidential mandate for the next 6 years, and that is the most important event taking place today.
That's true. There was a huge ceremony with the attendance of the President of the Parliament, Jorge Rodriguez, who has led the ceremony, but also worth mentioning that representatives of 125 countries were present at the ceremony, recognizing thus factually the government, the presidency of Nicolás Maduro, personally by their ministers, by their prime ministers, or special envoys.
Exactly, so let's recall a little bit of what we have seen today. We had the swearing-in ceremony at the National Assembly, as was the mandate of the Constitution. This is January 10th. This was a day that everyone was expecting, and that is what has happened, as the Constitution says, in the National Assembly. And that was one of the things, the presidential sash that Jorge Rodriguez handed over to President Nicolás Maduro was actually hand-stitched by Venezuelan women, by the Venezuelan people. So that was one of the most symbolic signs of this inauguration. Also, after the ceremony, of course, Nicolás Maduro had his first presidential speech after this new inauguration. So let's talk a little bit about what he said and the most important points. One of the things is that just highlighting the fact that this was a ceremony, a swearing-in ceremony of the people, with the people, and for the people, because the people, they're out on the streets, right?
Exactly, and the speech really was a historic one. He made a number of historic references. He mentioned, emphasized that Venezuela has been struggling against colonialism, against imperialism since 500 years, and this last election on July 28 was not less than a further victory in this struggle, actually. And I took a note when he said, that was to me interesting, that the Venezuelan Constitution has defeated the oligarchy and imperialism in this election, and it is actually today again the reivindication of the Venezuelan Constitution that is being held at this ceremony. That's something that I took note of.
Exactly, the idea that the Constitution prevails. despite the attacks, despite the blockade, despite the media campaign, what the Constitution said had to happen actually happened today. And it only just happened, but it happened with the presence of the Venezuelan people. We are here out of the streets. We are just blocks away from the National Assembly, from where everything took place. And this was filled, is still filled with people. There were different posts with the live transmission as they were showing all this speech, and the people were listening attentively. Many were crying. This was a very important and significant day in that way. So in that way as well, this was a swearing-in ceremony with the people. Also, another of the highlights of this event was the idea of impulsing, moving forward, the 7 transformations. This has been one of the key topics for the presidential speech in the past years, and it will continue to be so moving forward in the new mandate. So President Maduro was highlighting all of these topics, including, for example, the importance of ecology in the new policies and the importance of geopolitics. And once again, he made a call for Venezuela to be a member of the BRICS. Actually, he said that Venezuela has already been, for the past 200 years, a member of the BRICS.
Yeah, that's what he called the geopolitics of peace, the emerging multi-central, polycentric, multipolar world, and it's really noteworthy that Venezuela takes a lead here in its foreign policy, as it did since Comandante Chavez, and its foreign policy of this emerging new world order, in which, again, with this historic reference, President Maduro said that since independence, which has been a fight against colonization, since independence, actually, Venezuela has been part of this movement. I think that's a very strong and very good formula, actually, that the spirit of this state, the spirit of this people, the spirit of this government is already a member of BRICS and has already been a member of it before even BRICS was founded. Yeah, and they are prepared. I mean, he emphasized clearly they are watching. The government, the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, is watching, analyzing, and preparing itself for these elections that will take place in this year, in the 2025. And they are foreseeing and analyzing different scenarios and already developing their plans, their proposals, their candidates, including for these elections, which will be held in this year. This is noteworthy because President Maduro already presented himself very much ready to govern, not only with the elections, but also with the whole political program he presented. Yeah, this festival, this World Festival of Anti-Fascist International, started yesterday here in Caracas in the Carlota Convention Center, and more than 2,000 delegates are taking part in it, of more than 70 countries. I heard that some countries, some delegations, even chartered a specific plane because there were not enough seats in regular flights to Caracas, so they chartered an entire plane to attend this festival here in Caracas. And it is discussing all these topics, fascism, neo-fascism, Zionism, of course, and they are discussing it as an instrument of imperialism. This is very noteworthy, and they are discussing how to fight against it concretely. They are gathering in workshops and developing, for instance, communication models. They are developing intellectual groupings. They are deepening the communication and organizational structure of this establishment, of this new formation, and this is another important step. And of course, all these 2,000 delegates are also here to confirm once again the importance and the leadership of the Bolivarian movement revolution in this emerging new world order.
So, thank you, Yunus, thank you, Belen. We were hearing the party, the music, as was accompanying you in this marvelous day of celebration as President Nicolás Maduro was just sworn. You were witness, our beloved audience, of this paramount event of Venezuela in all our networks and social media as President Nicolás Maduro was sworn in as the constitutional president for the year 2025-2031. We're going to continue following this important day as President of Venezuela was sworn in, for giving all the information that he was going to carry on for the mandate that is to come this following next year of transformation, of recovery, and to continue moving forward for the country of the future and the model that they want to build, making very clear that no one will impose in Venezuela anyone's will, but the Venezuelan will, as followed by the teachings of Simón Bolívar, Commander Hugo Chavez, and the values of the Bolivarian Revolution of Venezuela. That has been all this ceremony for today. Thank you for being with us and following us on all our social medias on this paramount day. I say again, we'll see you soon in upcoming news brief with all the updates of what has been today's swearing ceremony of President Nicolás Maduro. Thank you for watching.